Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Conversations with Carrie. I'm your host, Carrie Roldan. I'm a wife, a mother, a runner, a best-selling author, a certified intuitive artist, a personal growth junkie, and your total business BFF. And I love having these conversations so much. Today, we're here with my friend Sherry Reichert. Is it Richert Belul?
Right, yes, that's it.
I always pronounce it that way. Sherry, hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Carrie. I love being with you.
So me too. I love being with me and I love being with you. I'm so excited to have this interview, and whenever I do these interviews, we get going before we even have a chance to chit chat before the show, because I don't want to miss anything. Any of the good stuff that comes from chit chat. But I should tell you and tell everybody who's watching that these interviews, the way that I do them is I interview amazing people about ordinary things. So I interview people who are known for something about something else. And I love it. I love it so much. So you are an expert in your niche. You are a total rising star, actually. You've had some big, amazing things happen in your business. And we're not going to talk about that, but every episode my phone rings. But for people who are interested in who Sherry is and what she's about, I'll have all her important links and everything somewhere around this video. So Sherry.
Carrie.
Yes. So you were one of the very first people that I ever interviewed. Did you know that?
No. Are you serious?
I was thinking about that because, years and years and years ago, when I was doing the Carrie Roldan show on Google Hangouts on Air, we did a show right before Christmas, and I started in June or July, or I don't know. I hadn't been on the air for very long, and you were one of my very first interviews, and we've become so close after that, and I realized I haven't interviewed you since, so I'm glad you're here.
And I still remember. I remember sitting in the chair talking to you and having that girl crush. Do you know how you do that, where you're just like, I love this woman. Who is she? Right?
And so we've been friends ever since. So one of the things that I love about who you are as a human, and then we'll talk about the stuff that you said you want to talk about today, because I love it. But one of the things that I love about who you are as a human is the way our friendship works. You tick so many of my boxes as a friend, because you send me poetry bombs. You send me random voicemails of appreciation. And I freaking love that. I love that there's no requirement to find a time for us to actually get together and chat. I'm so grateful for that. And that we have managed to stay really close, and that you trust your gut and your intuition enough to know, because I get messages from you all the time that are like, hey, Carrie, you just popped in. Here's the thing. And then you read me this poem, and it's exactly what I needed to hear in that moment. So I'm betting I'm not the only one in your life that you do that for. Can you talk to me about that?
Yes. And I love it. And first of all, I want to start with, that one of the weird things about me is I really don't like to have phone calls. I know it's bizarre. I love my friends, right? But I don't know. There's something, I think, because I have so many calls anyway, I start to feel boxed in. And so I started, as you know, I have a practice leaving myself voice messages. This is a thing that my spiritual teacher started. And something happened that I realized how fabulous it is to sit and listen to something telling me how fabulous I am. Right? I mean, we all have, I think most of us have that constant barrage of what's wrong with us, and why we're not fabulous, and why we shouldn't have said what we said, and blah blah blah. So my Zen teacher started this as a way to override that running loop. And then I realized, as I started practicing this for myself, it's really fun to get a message, right? And sometimes I'd be surprised. I'd send them to my email, and then right, I'd be like, oh, somebody sent me a message. Look. And I realized how fun it is. And I don't know how I started including poetry. That sort of eludes me, but maybe that was a drop-in from the universe. And you're right. I love surprising people with that. And I hope, most of the time, I'm always I hope they like this poem, but.
I always like it, because it's always, I'm not like a huge poetry fan, which is weird because I love writing. I love reading. I freaking love language. Like the idea that the way words work together. And yet poetry, meh, take it or leave it, right? Like I'm neither here nor there on it. But every single time I get one from you, because you love it and the way that you read it, and then you'll be like, this dropped in for you. I don't know why. And then you'll read it and then you'll be like, I know why. And then, and then you talk about it. I just love that. I'm so grateful to you for that little practice that you have.
Oh, well, and you can guess, right? It's such a gift for me because it is true that typically I leave it up to intuition or the universe or whatever. I just open the book, and then it is kind of fun to see what drops in about why that poem was the perfect thing at that moment, I hope, for the other person.
It always is. Every single time it has been. To the point. So I think I told you this, but I was leading a workshop a while ago, and I just felt like so compelled. They need to hear, I can't even remember what we were talking about, but I'm like, they need to hear something that Sherry sent me. And I didn't know which one it was. I didn't tell you this?
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited to hear.
I didn't know what it was. I was just like, I need to look for this right now. Like, when you just need to trust your gut. So I went to my phone and I scrolled through my emails until I found a poetry bomb from Sherry. And it was, what was the poem? It was something about a wild roller coaster, the magical carnival ride of who knows what or something.
Oh, yes.
But it was so perfect. And I read it. I just played the voicemail to everyone who was there. And I can't even remember the point, but like they were all moved, many of them to tears. And we're like, wow, to have a friend like that, and I think the whole point was, let's do this for each other. Right. And this isn't just for me, it's for you guys too. But so powerful, right? That one little, that one little thing that drops in for you and the ripple effect that comes from that.
Well, and Carrie, what I love, that poem happens to be the one you're referring to is written by a dear friend of mine, Maya. And I love that also, I often will, when I remember, to leave a message for the poet then, because I know a lot of really amazing poets, and to leave them a message saying, hey, I just read this amazing poem of yours. And sometimes I'll read it to them, which they say they get a kick out of because very seldom does somebody, read back their own poems.
Right. Memorize their own work.
So it's really fun because then it also, there's that appreciation because I think it's hard to be a poet. Our culture doesn't really celebrate poets the way that we might. So, yeah.
Well, so let's put a link to that poem. So what is the title of that poem?
Oh, goodness. I think it's called Natural State by Maya Stein.
Okay, Natural State. We'll find it and we'll put a link.
That'd be great. I would love that.
Well, and everybody watching now needs to know that that poem is for them too, right? Or otherwise, why would we?
Yes. I love that too, Carrie. Right. There might be just that perfect line in there that someone needs to hear.
Okay. Let's shift gears because there is something that you are known for, but it's not really what you're known for. So I feel like I can talk about it.
Ooh, what is this?
I've only ever seen you one time without a hat.
Oh.
So, and I see you every other week, or I guess I don't see you every other week. I see you at least once a month.
Once a month.
And sometimes more. And this is going on 4 years now. And I've seen you in person a couple of times. And only once ever did you have a naked head. So can you talk to me about your hat obsession? Because we've actually never had this conversation.
And it's really funny. I have to tell you, somebody that I don't even know, I work at events, as you know, and somebody that I don't know sent me a Facebook message saying, what's up with you covering up your head all the time? The way she phrased it was so funny. And I was like, I don't think of it as covering up my head.
Huge bald patch right on top.
Right, and if that were the answer, would she really want to know? Anyway, I digress. Hats to me, it's not that I'm covering up my head. It's that, and I'm going to get serious for a minute because it is a serious thing. I wanted off this earth back in my 20s. Lots and lots and lots of suicidal thoughts. It was a very, very, very difficult. It wasn't just that period. It was, truthfully, a lot of my life, I was checked out for various reasons. Don't need to go into now. But there did come a point where I decided to be here, which was a very important moment. And when I decided to be here, I started creating moments of celebration. And well, there's two stories. I don't know which to tell you. They're both true. Okay, let me see which. I'll just go with that. So I'd always wanted to wear hats all my life. And I think this was part of my depression, is that I was never the person I wanted to be. Like, I'd see women in the, those 1920s cloche hats, and I'd think, love that style. And it would call to me, but I'd always say, oh, well, I'm not that type of person. And that I'm not that type of person was sort of, I think, dominant in my life, right? A lot of things that called to me, I would say, oh, I can't dance, or I don't ride a bike, or I don't do this, or I don't do that. I can't go in the ocean. I'm scared of this. I was so repressed. And so I think that the wearing of hats coincided with the deciding to be here, in the sense that I had a boyfriend who said, get a frickin' hat and put it on your head, and you'll feel stupid, you'll feel awkward, and then one day you won't, and you'll be someone who wears hats, right? Brilliant advice. Because it's true, right? I don't think anybody's born a hat-wearing person or a not hat-wearing person.
I mean, I suppose any of us could wear a hat at any moment, right? But as you're talking, I need to tell you, Sherry, I've wanted to be the kind of person who wears hats and feel like I'm not that girl, right? So hearing you say that is so, and I have other things too, right? I think we all have our stuff, right? But I don't know if I've told you this either, because you are so cute. You are this tiny little person. I don't know why I expected you, because we met virtually like this. So the first time I met you like in the flesh, I'm like, you're like a pixie. You're like this tiny little hat-wearing fairy. And I'm not tiny, right? I'm like almost 5'8", and I've never been like a big person in terms of like girth, but I've always been tall. I know, I just used girth.
Oh my God, my glasses are fogging up from my laughter.
Sorry. But I have some stuff, right, around, because I'm tall. There's a story that I tell myself, which is I can't be cute. So I can be elegant, I can be pretty, I can be all kinds of things, but cute is for pixie girls. Cute is for small girls. And so I have some weird associations with cute. I don't know if hats goes with cutes. Hat is just, I think people notice that, right? And there's for me, I have an inclination to not want to be noticed for the way that I look. But my associations with cute, one of the things, I'm like working so hard to get over this now. Maybe it's from being a tall girl. Capri pants are like, those are for cute girls. Those are only for short people. Those are for cute girls. I can't, like, just weird stuff like that, right?
Wow, I love that we're talking about this. This is actually one of my favorite topics. And I recently interviewed someone. I'll tell it really quickly, but I recently interviewed someone I met at an event. I was working in the store where we sell jewelry and things. And she was looking at these two bracelets. And one of them was very plain, like kind of just a silver band. And the other one was kind of a wraparound leather bracelet. And she called it a fancy bracelet. She's like, I'm looking at that fancy bracelet, but that's not me. I'm a plain person. And I heard that, right? And all the bells and alarms went off. And I said, I don't know if that's true. I just want to question you for a minute. I know you're just here buying a bracelet, but let me coach you for a minute.
Right. And I told her, stare deeply into your soul.
I told her the hat story. Mm-hmm. And I said, I don't know if this is true for you, but I feel when something's calling to me, it's a part of me that's calling to me. And I feel as if I'm watching you with these bracelets, and the one of them, you're all lit up. She's just like, and the other one, she's like, yeah, but this is more me. And her whole energy like dropped. And I said, I don't know, but maybe that bracelet is you and it's trying to get you to notice. Well, she
Go ahead.
bought that bracelet, and every time I saw her, 6 months, a year afterwards, she would say, that bracelet changed my life. And it happened to say courage on it. And she said, every time I looked at it, I realized that I had the courage to step more and more into who I am really, and not to label myself who I thought I should be. A bracelet, right?
A hat.
A hat.
Okay, that is so good. Go ahead. I see you have more to say.
Well, my friend Carrie, she happens to be right here, also has a beautiful saying about that which calls to us. Do you know what I'm referring to?
Mm-mm. Probably. Is it a Carrieism? Do I say it all the time? Say
Well,
it back to me.
I've heard you say it several times. It has to do with what sparks for us. And I wish I could remember your exact language, but it's something to the effect of, if something is sparking for us, it's ours.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, it's this idea that if it sparks, right? If you get the zing, if you have that, it's that moment of recognition of the truth of you, right? It is your higher self, or the next version of you, or the you that is like wanting to be born, right? From the you that who you are now, or who you think you are. It's the truth of you saying, yes, that, follow that, like this way. It's like the universe playing the hot and cold game with you, right? Like getting warmer.
I love that. Yes.
That's intuition, right? The universe is just playing that game with you. Getting warmer. Yes, take action in that way. Nope, getting colder. Go back where you were warm. Like,
Carrie, that is so right. And I know we're talking about silly things, but we're not, right? So when people ask about my hat, I love it if people actually have a little bit of time, because first and foremost, it's that it called to me all those years. And it's that I understand why it called to me, which is first and foremost, I used to just hide, right? I wanted to be under the radar. I wanted to disappear. I wanted off the planet. So who wants to be seen if you don't even want to, you don't even think you deserve to be on the planet? But so the hat, it's sort of what do they say? A flag in the ground, or a stick in the ground, or
something really profound. Yes.
When it's like saying like, I'm here. And also, as it happens, I happen to have a best friend who makes a lot of my hats. She meditates on love when she makes the hats. Now, I know this is true because when people often, when they see the hats, they're charmed or delighted. And it's a combination of things. I think first it's that self-expression is fun. But I think that there is something about it that is woven into the hats that people feel.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Well, everything people create has energy. And so I feel like it's a gift to give people. It's just like a little, like, here's an art piece. I didn't make it, but I can display the art.
But you also are the display for the art, right? It's not just the energy of the person who was putting into the hat, right? It's the energy that you put on when you put the hat on. So you and I'm so weird that we're talking about this, but it's not where I thought we were going, but we never go where I think we're going.
I know, that's so fun.
But you and I both have a friend. Her name is Cindia Carrere, and she is an energy stylist, right? She's someone who does this work, exactly what we're talking about, who literally works with people in so much more than, like, I'm putting air quotes around just a stylist, right? It's not about your colors or your, like the image. It is about the image that you want to project, but it's about going much deeper than like, I want to project success to like, what is the truth of you?
Yes.
And how do we project that? And how do we get you in alignment and vibrating with, right, that energy? And the reason I'm saying all this is because when you're telling the bracelet story and the hat story, right? Like when you put on that hat, you were making a decision to be willing, right? The first time you put on the hat, maybe you felt stupid, right? But you were willing to become this version of you that you had in your mind, right?
Yes.
And I worked with Cindia in September, and I remember feeling like silly at the time, and just like it seemed like something I shouldn't really need, especially given who I am and the work that I do, right? Like, why should I need someone to help me pick out clothes that help me lean into, right, this up-leveled version of myself? And one of the things that I remember telling her is like, I just want to be effortlessly put together, right? I want to be like one of those ladies who she's literally wearing the same thing as me, but she looks so put together and I look so dumpy, you know? Anyways, the reason I'm telling the story is because today, after I got dressed and I looked in the mirror and I put on, I have these 2 bracelets that I wear now that have meaning. I looked in the mirror and I was like, I am that. You know, like I just realized I'm her and effortlessly put together. And
Carrie,
I know, is there some effort involved? Yeah, I mean, like I put on makeup most days now, and I like, but it happened, it evolved so easily over time until now I look in the mirror and I'm like, there she is. I'm her now. Like, it's crazy.
Oh, I love that. This is what I want for everyone, because when you, and I love the way you paused when you said, you know, style to project, you know, I forget what you said, but but what we're really doing is it's the style that feels like who we are.
Yeah.
That's me. And it's fun, even though everybody can have different styles, you know, but it's really fun to feel like who we are.
Yeah.
That's like in all areas of our life, right?
I love it.
Me too. Me too. It's so important.
So I'm going to switch the subject a little bit. I love this topic. I feel like we can go deep. And anybody who's got more interest in the topic, now I'm going to I'm putting links to Maya and links to Cindia Carrere. Like seriously, if you want to use like energetic up leveling through clothing, which I think, you know, we all, not we all, but so many of us like underestimate the importance of putting on something, the energetic, like the symbolism of putting something on. So if this speaks to you, I'm putting Cindia's link as well. So you're going to have links to all Sherry's, Cindia. But damn it, somebody's going to get something amazing out of this video.
Wait, before you go, I know we're going to switch topics, but I think you were going to say something, or at least I was finishing it for you, and I want to say it because it feels like it's lingering out there, which is, when I put on a hat, it is for me an intentional way of saying, this is who I want to be in the world. This is what I'm choosing. And sometimes I may not feel like someone who wants to celebrate, but it really does make a difference because it is an intentional choice. As we all, I think a lot of us know, we have a choice of who we get to be each day. And that's why I wear them. And even though some people are like, I wish you wouldn't wear hats so much. And I'm like, I don't care what you wish, because it's important to me because I show up differently.
I bet no one who's ever heard that story says, I wish you wouldn't wear hats so much, right? Anybody who hears, I wear hats because this is who I always wanted to be.
Right.
I always wanted to be someone who could wear hats. Like, I always wanted to be someone who, because you're not just someone who wears hats. I don't know how you used to dress, right? But your whole thing, it starts with the hat, right? It started with the hat. But you've got some signature style, girl, right? And it is, I mean, you are a walking celebration. So I love it.
Well, right. And thank you. And so, right. Like, I know we're moving on, but just, I think that that's really important, that it started with the hat because the hat is what called to me, but it could have just as well been fingerless gloves or lacy this or funky that, or, you know, odd shoes. It could have been any of it that called to me that was like the door. And I think that's the piece. Just like for Sarah, who I interviewed, the bracelet was a door for her. And once she walked in that door, there was all kinds of stuff waiting.
And it shows you, right? Because I resonated with Sarah so much because this is really wild for me, right? 2 bracelets is like, look at me being crazy. Those of you who watch my show notice I might wear stripes. I'm probably wearing solids, but I'm never wearing a print. Like anything that says, look at me, I'm bold. I might wear a bold color, but I'm not wearing anything that's busy. Now, I could give you a story around why that is, but the real truth is like, I don't want to be noticed or judged for what I'm wearing. And I think I don't know if I've told you this. I guess we're going to stay on this topic. But I know I told Cindia this. I have a fear, like a legit fear of being overdressed, which right? Like I find so interesting. I would so much rather be tastefully underdressed than tastefully overdressed. And what does that say? Like, now I got to get a drink of water.
Me too. Everybody watching this, drink some water right now.
Water.
It's such a fascinating topic, right? Like, first of all, I'm like, you want to wear hats? Okay, we got to talk about that sometime. And then it's like, what do you mean overdressed? What does that even mean?
Well,
overdressed for what?
So I know where it comes from. When I was around 13, my grandpa got remarried. And I had this dress that I had worn for graduation that was, I mean, all of the 1989 awesomeness. Do you remember Laura Ashley? Do you remember that store? Okay. So picture puffy sleeves, like not velvet. What's that other fabric that was like, you couldn't get it wet because, oh God, what was it? Anyways, it was kind of shiny.
Like tulle?
No. What was it called? I can't remember. But anyways, it had like a long skirt that had another skirt underneath that made it kind of puffy. And it probably had some laciness going on. And it was 2 pieces, but it kind of looked like a dress. And I wore this to my grandpa's funeral. It was a wedding. Sorry, my bad. Not a funeral at all. Sorry, Grandma Ida. Love you. I wore this dress to my grandpa's wedding, and it wasn't a wedding. It was a reception. They're Mormon. And so they got married. I couldn't go. They got married at the temple, and then they had like a reception. And so I wore this dress at the reception, and my cousin was there, the cute one, right? My cousin and I are the same age, but she's half Japanese and a lot smaller than me and super cute. And my cute cousin was there, and she was wearing like, I don't know, jeans and whatever. And I just remember feeling like a very tall, very like out of place, totally overdressed person. And my cute, stylish cousin was, you know, running around in whatever she was wearing. And I'm certain, because that's right, when you're 13 is when you think everybody's looking at you and actually cares. And so I'm certain that was the moment that I didn't want to be noticed for what I was wearing. And I surely didn't want to be noticed for being the best dressed person. Isn't that funny?
Right. Because you're saying it, and there's a whole nother universe where a 13-year-old would be like, whoa, look at me, right? I don't know what's going on with my cousin, because she certainly didn't get the memo about showing up, right? But why, I don't know why that happens. But it's fascinating.
There's a story, right? I must have already had a story that she's stylish and cute, and I'm not. And then this was like exaggerating that. And maybe someone said something to me. I don't know. I don't remember anyone saying anything to me. But I definitely know that from that moment on, I wanted understated elegance. I wanted to look just good enough, right? But I did not want to be, with a few exceptions, right? Like when I knew, like at prom, I definitely wanted to have the most amazing dress at prom, because prom, it was very a safe place to be as dressed up as you wanted to be. But any time there's any sort of event or like something where I'm not exactly sure what to wear, I'm always going to err on the side of underdressed, where I think like conventional wisdom would say, be the best dressed person in the room.
Always, right? Yeah. But for ourselves, right? Do you know advanced style?
Mm-mm.
Advanced, I think that's the right name. I might have it wrong, but if I do. But basically, it became this thing. It's women like 70 and older who just dress, right? And there was a documentary about them. We'll have to put this in the link too, right? Because now I've said it. But they dress like most of them, I think, are from New York. And Bill Cunningham, the photographer from the New York Times, captured a lot of them back when he was alive. But one of them quoted something that I always love, which she said, every day I wake up for the theater of my life. You know, and it's so beautiful that it's like, first of all, you know, I'm a huge advocate for every day I tell myself I could die today. And I don't do it in that way that I used to, which is I want to die. But now it's in the way of like, I don't know. And so this could be the last day. You know, what am I going to wear if this was the last day of the theater of my life? But that beautiful thing about waking up each day as the star of our own show, the Carrere on show.
Now I'm questioning my shirt.
Love your shirt.
Thanks. Okay, Sherry, let's talk about, I love that. It's reminding me of the Brene Brown talking about, I just watched her Netflix special on, did you see it? Did you just watch it?
Ian and I just watched it. Okay. Like Saturday night.
So I made that was my Mother's Day gift from my family. I'm like, you guys are all sitting down and watching this with me.
I love that.
And I'd watched it once before already, but she talks about, you know, like getting out of bed each morning and reminding herself that like today I'm going to be brave, right? I don't know about tomorrow. Like I can only account for today, but I'm going to be brave and remembering, right? It's not the voice of the critic that counts, including the one that lives in here, right? It's about who do I want to be and choosing taking steps in that direction, right? Choosing living each day as the person that you want to be. And that my Carrieism around that is, who I think I may have stolen from John Maxwell, but it's, you know, behave like the person you hope to become.
Yes.
It's that every day, like, okay, I'm not the kind of person who wears hats, but I really want to become her. So I got to put a hat on, right? Love it. And that's what happened for me with this whole idea of like, you know, I wanted to look amazingly put together in jeans and a t-shirt. Mm-hmm. And I saw these other women who did it. Like, and I didn't know how I could embody that until I just started believing that I could embody that, right? And buying a few different t-shirts and like, and thinking about what I put on a little differently than just like, it's still just jeans and a t-shirt, but now it's like this t-shirt that I really love, that's so soft, that feels amazing, that hangs nicely, as opposed to like my husband's old t-shirt, you know?
Yes. Oh, Carrie, I love this. I love this so much.
Okay, so now tell me why you hate potlucks.
Oh, okay. But wait,
I read that in your intake.
I'm hijacking it again, but this is just a one sentence.
Okay.
You know, I have an article called Livin the Dream that is about exactly what we're just talking about. So I would love it. We can also include that in our 25 links that we're going to be doing.
Well, I know this about you, right? That's how you live, that you, right. I honestly, Sherry, I've known you for 5 years, maybe more. I didn't know until very recently that you had been suicidal in your past. Like, I didn't even know that. I know, because I've only known you since you've become who you are. Since you've become who you always were.
Right. That was repressed. Potlucks, Carrie. I hate potlucks.
Yeah, why?
Okay, I'll tell you. First of all, I'm a picky eater, right? I don't like that idea that I don't know where this food has been, or what. There's like, I don't like the motley crew of things that sorry. You don't have someone's
where do you think it might have been? Like on a
know if somebody's kitchen is clean or what kids were there or who stuck their hands in what or where it fell on the floor and then got put in anyway. You know what I mean.
Well, I live on the edge with regard to food. So, well, that's another conversation, but this is fascinating. I had no idea that at a potluck you are worried that the food that I brought may have been on a public restroom floor. I'm enjoying it.
It's not even that so much as I don't like the motleyiness of it. I don't like the potluck part.
Okay, this is fascinating about you because you are about life is a celebration and come with your gifts and bring what you have to offer. Like, this is you. And so, like, I would think a potluck is like the food manifestation of that. And
isn't that funny? I know. But it also, nobody's ever asked me why, right? People are just like, oh, shut up and go to the potluck and be quiet and bring your macaroni salad or whatever. Just shut up. So nobody's ever asked me why. But also, you know what? I really love a theme. And I wonder if there's something about that. So I like to do, you've probably heard this story. My mom and I will be like, let's have Mexican food night. And then before we know it, she's dressing me like Frida Kahlo and we're buying like colorful flowers and we're wearing weird, colorful Mexican things. I like everything to fit. When you're at a potluck and you're like, what's going on? Are we Thai food? Are we Chinese? What's going on? It's confusing.
I'm laughing so hard because my husband has this thing. We have a fight, like an ongoing. We have several just ongoing fights, right? One is, I swear to God, if that man asked me to make popcorn again, like if we ever get divorced, it will be because he asked me to make him popcorn.
What?
And, yeah, a whole different conversation. But
I know, I love popcorn. Okay.
I don't mind it, but this is like, it is, right? It's symbolic, right? It's clearly not about the popcorn. Anyways, he also, another one is, I am a plastic silverware kind of person. There are certain things that I want to eat with plastic. So don't worry, I wash and reuse the plastic. But like my kids like to eat ramen with plastic forks. If it's like yogurt or ice cream, I want it to be from a plastic spoon. There's something about the scraping of the metal on my teeth and the coldness of I just want it to be plastic. And so sometimes we run out of forks. And so I have this drawer of forks that I've stolen from Chipotle or, right, because the black ones are the best. They're the sturdiest. Who knew we were going here today? And some plastic spoons that come from our favorite yogurt place. They give you a plastic spoon when you get it. And these are super sturdy. They're kind of like toddler spoons. And so I keep them in this drawer for if ever we run out of forks and spoons, they're all in the dishwasher, I'll grab a plastic one because I'm going to wash it and reuse it. And don't tell me not to do that because I'm going to keep doing it anyways. He will open the drawer, he'll look, because we're about to move to another house and he's like, we're not doing this at the new house. I can't handle hodgepodge. That's the whole point of this story is he's like, hodgepodge. I can't do hodgepodge. And that's what it sounds like for you.
Oh.
There needs to be.
Yes. Buddy, you're right. My whole life is hodgepodge. So I don't know.
I was trying to bring it together.
Yeah, no. And it's good. I really don't know what else to say about potlucks. I can't even believe I put that on my thing. Did I write that down?
Yeah, because I ask people for their pet peeves. I find it really interesting. Normally your pet peeve's really telling. I have a pet peeve around tardiness. Not if you're late once or twice, but if chronic tardiness.
Right.
Oh, don't get me started. And this is a huge pet peeve of mine. And really if you're chronically tardy, we can't be friends. That's how I roll. And usually that it speaks to something deeper in the person, right? For me, the tardiness is about integrity, being true to your word and saying if you're say 10:15, don't show up at 10:45. It's also about valuing my time, but really it's about you can't even trust yourself to be where you were when you said you were going to be there. How can I trust you? Anyways. So I was okay, what is a potluck thing? The pet peeve around potluck, say around Sherry.
Uh-oh.
I think it is the theme. I think you do everything deeply and fully, right? Like you dive into Mexican night like nobody's business, right? You don't just like buy some tortillas and do some chips and salsa. Like you're freaking Frida Kahlo.
Thank you. You know what? It might be that. It really might be. That's part of the fun for me.
I declare it that.
Okay, thank you.
Because that way you can feel, because I am looking at, like, you are someone who is all about inclusion and acceptance and like live and let live and be who you want to be, right? So I have a feeling the concept of the potluck is appealing to you. Like if everyone brought their best and if you called it International Night.
Okay, you know what? You're right. Or if we had like pink food night, right? And everybody brought their favorite pink food. Or I think you're right. You know what? Here's the thing that happens at potlucks. I think you just pointed to it. Half the people are dragging in a Safeway container with cookies they just picked up on the way, or, you know, whatever. I feel like it doesn't bring out the best in people, does it? I think it brings out there's nothing against like making life easier for ourselves or making it, but typically it's at an occasion. So you're celebrating something and then what's coming in the door is last minute, whatever.
So that's why you don't like it, is because it's not in alignment.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's it. It just feels like a sloppy afterthought. Which is not always. Some people do slave over their potluck dishes, but
I'm not one of them. I have a few things that if they're going to be potluck, I'm going to bring one of those few things because they travel well. People seem to like them. And, you know, like but it's not like now I'm thinking, gosh, if I were invited to a potluck at Sherry's house, right? Yeah. Like, okay. And I'm betting you would lay some ground rules, but it would be like, bring your best, bring the most.
Bring your best. I love that, right? It's not any different of a conversation actually than what we were just saying about clothes. We could probably overlay this on top of anything.
Well, Sherry, that's why I effing love these conversations, because there's always the thread. How you do anything is how you do everything. And I believe people don't buy what you sell, they buy who you are. And so in this conversation, there are people who are resonating with Sherry the Crazy Hat Lady and are like, I need her in my life. And now they're checking you in and like, they're going to buy everything that you ever put out because they get you. Because they don't like looks either.
You know, and I love this because, you know, a lot of times I think it takes us our entire lives to find out who we are and what we stand for. And, right? And I think what you and I are doing, and especially what you're doing with everybody, is helping us to see what do I really stand for? You know, and that is definitely a big part of my message is intention. Intention. How do you walk? You know, my mentor, Brendon Burchard. Oh, what do you?
My watch just started talking. Freaked me out.
Brendon Burchard always has this trigger of a doorway. You walk in a door. Every time you walk through a door, you're intentional about who do I want to be when I walk through this door? How do I want to show up for the people in that room? And I think that this is all speaking to that. And how do I want to show up for this person that I spend every moment of my life with?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. You said something, you used my exact word. I mean, they're not mine, but they're the words that I continually use. So I teach a course on leadership. It's on authentic leadership. And it's for women who know they have to be leaders based on the industry that they're in, but who don't feel like they naturally are that, right? So they're generally network marketers, right? Who are told over and over and over again, like, you got to build a team, you got to be a leader, and they don't know who that is. And so we have to break down, like, what is a leader really? And that phrase that you said, all a leader is they know who they are and what they stand for, and then they stand for it. Like, that's the difference. Everybody thinks we all know who we are and what we stand for on one level or another. But the thing is, we say, I'm not the kind of person who blah, 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 right? Who can actually stand up for it. The only difference between the leader and anybody else is that they're actually standing for what they stand for. They're taking a stand for what they stand for.
So good, Carrie. Carrie, that is so good.
Well, thanks.
It is, especially because one of the things that's happened for me over, I would say, especially the last 5 years, but really maybe since I decided that I was going to be here on Earth, but is that I always used to say, I have so much I want to say to the world, but I don't feel as if I have a voice. I don't feel courageous enough to say it. I don't feel as if it's important. I don't feel as if I value it enough myself to trust it. And so I've lived the same life, but I think it's only recently that I've kind of felt like, hey, this is awesome. You know, do you want to come along? And that's maybe one of the things that's different. That's why I love how you just said it.
Well, I've seen that shift in you. I've known you 5 years. I've seen you go from someone who lived what they stood for to someone who stands for what she stands for, right? Like, you were already living it. You were already being it when I met you. You were amazing. You are amazing. But in the past several years, right, you've really upped your game. And the only difference is you're planting your feet a little more firmly. You're standing up a little taller. You're taking a stand more publicly. You're being interviewed, right? But like, you were always that. You're just standing a little more strongly in what you stand for.
And you know why I am?
Why?
Is because of people like Sarah and that bracelet, right? I think it's like, I started paying attention, and this is always, I think, the key, right? That it's not about me, of course, and it's not about anything that I have to say or share. It's just that I can see, like, oh, there are a lot of people out there who maybe not as depressed as I was or as suppressed as I was, but maybe who are depressed or suppressed or in the dark or could use more light. And I have some things to say about that. And maybe that would be helpful. Right?
Not maybe. Right? I love that you say it's not about me. And the first thing that popped in my mind is it's all about you. Like, all of it. Everything that happens is about you and for you. I'm going to get the drink of water again because this is me.
Me too. All right, everybody drink.
Who knew this was also going to be a drinking game?
I know. I love that, though. I love that we added. Jean Barry would be very excited to know that we've added a game portion to our talk.
We turned maybe that's actually not a bad idea, right? There's got to be something that I say over and over that is going to be the drinking game. But right now, it's just drink when I drink. So, and this is just water, but you know, whatever you want to drink.
That's water as well, but you know.
Okay, what were we talking about? Oh, everything. This is what I believe. Okay, my mom, when I was little, used to say, Carrie. And I'm a very considerate person because of this, but she would kind of shame me by saying, the world does not revolve around you. Yes, it does. My world revolves around me. Your world revolves around you. Like, everything that is happening for you, right? Everything that's happened in your life is happening for you. It's happening for you to find the gifts and the joy and the delight and the lessons and the making the decision about who you want to be and how you want to show up. Like, every effing thing that happens in your life is happening just for you.
Right.
And if you get to, and even helping other people, that's happening just for you.
Yes.
Because it's amazing to help other people.
Right.
You get to you get to live in your gifts and shine and glow and be fully who you are. Of course it's happening for you. So I'm sure you've heard me talk about this, but I talk about strengths and weaknesses in the work that I do. And I came from Oprah. What was his name? There was an author on Oprah, I don't know how many years ago. He'd written a book. He's got this thing called the Strength Finder. But his whole premise, Marcus Buckingham? Could be Marcus Buckingham. The whole premise was strengths and weaknesses. A strength isn't something that you're good at, and a weakness isn't something that you're bad at, right? Like whoever told you that was wrong. A strength is something that while you are doing it, you feel fully alive.
Ooh.
Right? So in the sharing of a story, in the connecting with somebody, right? In taking a risk and sending a poetry bomb, strength, 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 right?
Yeah.
You feel fully alive. That's why I do them. It's not because I'm good at them. A weakness isn't something that you're bad at. You usually are bad at your weaknesses, but a weakness is something that while you're doing it, it depletes you. Oh, that's right? Awesome. So the problem is so many of us are really good at shit that depletes us. Like so good that we've built lives and careers around it. But it's sucking our life force, right? Which is, I don't know, in that moment where you were wanting to leave the planet, if you had built a life around your weaknesses, right? But so many people have. And we tell ourselves the story, I'm not the kind of person who, right? Putting on a hat is living in your strengths, right? Because while you are doing it, you feel fully alive. So anyways, that's like a twist on living in your truth, I think, is about recognizing how can I cut out all the stuff I'm really good at that sucks the life out of me.
Yes.
Then what's left, right? Because there's some things that are strengths that you're not really good at yet, right? Like, I know you're a writer. I know you're a speaker. I'm not saying you're not good at these things. I'm saying like these are things. You're great at them, Sherry. But these are things that
I'm not very good at that.
But while you do them, you feel fully alive, and the more you do them, the better you get, right? That's your life. That's your zing that we were talking about earlier. That's your life saying, warmer, you're getting warmer, go this way. The more you do it, the more you feel fully alive, the better you're going to get at it. Keep going that way. And the weakness, no matter how highly skilled you are at it, no matter how often the world tells you, you're really good at this, you should do it. You should build a career around this. You should build a business around that. Like, if it depletes you, if it doesn't make you fully alive, you're heading in the wrong direction. I can't remember why we started that, but I'm super passionate about that. So
I'm super excited you said that. And it reminds me of, do you know David White? He's a poet. I don't know if you know, but.
No, I don't.
Anyway, he has a saying that, oh crap.
Oh crap. I say, oh crap.
You're just like, I knew it right before I said it, but it has something to do about exactly what you're saying. Is it's beautiful about like when things feel too small, you know, to notice that, you know, what we're always doing. Oh, and this is great. I can say this. I was on a call with Roger Love yesterday, and he was talking about how the world is always expanding. The universe is expanding. And we also are always expanding. And he said, pay attention. Pay attention to when you're expanding versus constricted. Because like the universe, you need to just keep expanding. And it's exactly what we're talking about, right? Those things that constrict us, that feel depleting, like that is what kills us. I think you're right. I think for me, what it was, I call her Cardboard Sherry, right? It was like, here, this is who I think you want me to be. And here she is. And I hated her, you know. Other people liked her a lot, you know. People would have never known that I had all that, but she wasn't real. And she was all that fake stuff that came easily. And yeah, I think you're really onto something.
Well, I just keep talking about it. Oprah 20 years ago or 15 years ago, whenever it was, Marcus Buckingham, but it hit me, right? And that's the thing we're talking about. You never know. I mean, it was Oprah, so chances are he knew he was going to affect a lot of people. But I keep sharing that story because it changes lives, right? Just like wearing that bracelet, like that changed her life, recognizing I could be the kind of person who wears the leather strappy bracelet. Maybe someday I can be. Because you know who I love? I love Joanna Gaines, right? Because she's the kind of person who, you don't know who Joanna Gaines is, do you?
You can tell. I was like.
I know, I saw it on your face. So Fixer Upper on, there's this couple, Chip and Joanna. I love them so much. It's a show on HGTV. Now they have their own network. Someday I will have a show on their network. But Joanna Gaines is effortlessly put together, or maybe not so effortlessly, right? But appears effortlessly put together, which is how I want to be. Even when she's wearing jeans and a t-shirt and a ball cap, right? There's still something, there's a presence she carries with her, an elegance that comes with her into the room, like you're talking about, right? Walking through the doors. Even if there's an energy that she brings with her that makes what she's got on look put together. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And she wears those leather strappy bracelets.
To bring our whole conversation right back. But you know what? Okay, before, I know we don't have much time, and I want to say this because it keeps dropping in, and we're in the middle of something. I think of you as one of those cute pixie people. And I think this is one of those interesting things, right? I think of you as someone who could wear a hat if you wanted to wear that. And so there's this interesting thing that's also going on with like how we're perceived and how we perceive ourselves. And sometimes it might just be stepping over, right? Like half an inch. Like you were sort of saying, like you today and maybe many days now, you are that effortlessly beautiful, confident, well-dressed gal. But what is it really that allows that?
Well, so, in the beginning of the show, I said how I'm a personal growth junkie, right? So I've been working on this forever. Actually, not forever. Probably forever, but consciously working on it. I remember after I graduated from college being like, I thought I would be done. Like, I thought I was done now, right? I'm educated. Like, I'm who I'm going to be. And I was like, what? I don't know. And so I started sort of down this personal growth journey after I thought I was like done as a human being, which I think is funny, right? I was like 22, but I was like, I had this expectation of finishing college and like having my shit together, like being done. And just like you, right? Outwardly, I seemed to have my shit together. I had everything going for me, like, but I was feeling like, who is this cardboard Carrie, right? And when not recently, but several years ago, I was working with someone and I had that realization, probably like you, where she goes, oh, I see it. This light, this sparkliness, this joy that you bring to other people, this encouragement, this like all the things that you bring to other people that people see in you and go, wow, isn't she amazing? You can't do it for yourself. You can't even see it in yourself. And I was like, yes. And so that was interesting for me to recognize, like, part of what makes me feel fully alive is being with someone else and encouraging and uplifting and inspiring them, because that is like all the zings, all the Molly Mahoney does this, like when it, right? It's all of that. But when left to my own devices, when looking inward, right, I couldn't find that. Yeah. And so probably all the stuff we're talking about that like is just pointing it out and me choosing to walk over the line, right? Choosing to like go, oh, I can be that. I just have to be willing to be that. I can look at myself and, all of us can look at ourselves and choose to encourage, inspire, uplift, and choose to be like inspired and excited by what we see, right? Because that's what, when I look at other people, I see nothing but potential, right?
Right.
I see
that's it.
Yeah.
Yes, that is exactly it. And the only thing I would say to that is maybe it's not even, I could be that, but I am that.
Yeah.
I am that. How do I bring it out? That's what, this, that was my story. Like, I am this published author, 2 years ago when I was saying that, and I was like, well, how does that person talk? How does she dress? What does she do? What does she post on social media? Right? It's,
behave like the person you want to become.
Yes. Yeah.
And not in a way that is, because I had trouble with that phrase, not in a way that is like fake it until you make it, right? But like the thing that you're asking, I have this future self visualization that people find really helpful because they get to connect with her and they get to know her and they get to like merge with her. And then it's like, what does she do? Right? What is,
yes,
like when you step out of bed in the morning and you're like, okay, I'm a #1 best-selling author. I'm like, and what does she have for breakfast?
Exactly. And I wish we had hours more to talk, because I love talking about the future self. Because I think, and just to leave us with that, because I think there's something really important about, I often think about my, God willing that I have a future self, but that, say I live to be 80 or 90. It's like, how am I caring for her right now? Right? Who am I being right now that she's going to have a fantastic life, right?
You're going to live till well over 100. I already know that about you. You're going to be the funkiest old lady.
Right, but that's the thing, right? Everything that we're doing right now is setting up her life. And sometimes it's only like in the morning when I do something nice for the person who goes back into my room later that day, so that she finds it, right? And she's like, oh, who did this?
I freaking love that you surprise and delight yourself. I love this so much. All right, Sherry, we are officially the longest interview I've ever had on this show. Love it. Thank you. I know everybody who's watching this, drink up.
Oh, what a funny.
You're nothing if not hydrated. I hope you have enjoyed this conversation, that it has been inspiring, encouraging, uplifting, and that anybody who watches this walks out into the rest of your day thinking about how you're going to surprise and delight your future self. I think that's so great.
Love that. Carrie, you are amazing.
Right?
I've always loved you. I love what you do, but I really love what you're doing right now.
I really love it too. And I love that you got to do it with me. And on that note, let's say goodbye to everybody, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Yay.